What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sip-Off, where we have drinks and we talk all things basketball. We got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We're going to keep it kind of in the NCAA realm, but we are going to talk a little bit about the WNBA draft preview as well, because as we know, the tournament and the draft go hand in hand. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get my first guest on. We got Jennifer Matthews-Lewis. What's up, Jen?
Hey, Megan. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. How's your week going?
It's been good. I only had one day of work so far this week. We'll see how tomorrow goes.
Oh, okay.
I pulled a Steve Schwab.
That's hilarious. All right. We got Will Vogel joining us as well. What's up, Will?
What's up?
How's your week going?
Man, Tuesday was probably one of the worst days of my life. Not worst days of my life. I'm over-exaggerating. I have been the last few days, and I'm finally going to go back to work because I only missed really actually one day of work. Wednesday, I was diagnosed with pink eye.
Oh, man. I hate that for you.
But the good thing is...
all better?
Good thing is it's almost healed, and plus...
I'm still not sure, Will.
Yes, it sucks. I'm almost fully healed. My eyes fully healed. I've been disinfecting everything and put in eye drops. And also the work week is nervous because I'm worried about, I'm not worried about the UConn men, really. For the women, but Steve's going to tell you probably it's going to be a back and forth type of game.
Right, yeah, definitely get that. All right, I got our next guest. We got Steve Shawanda. What's up, Steve?
Well, hello everybody. How we doing? Man, I get.
How's your week going?
I get 2 shout outs from Jen and Will before I'm even on the show. Jeez, I tell you what.
Right?
I'm doing great. Suns baseball season started, and nothing like 40-degree weather to make you think baseball. So practice was a little cool, but I am wearing my Sheed North Carolina college jersey that I finally got.
Love it.
I'm a huge Sheed fan, even though I'm not a North Carolina fan, though a few people on this show are. So I am representing a little bit. It is kind of the color as I'm watching the Indiana State Seton Hall game and also, of course, the Warriors-Rockets game.
Great. Awesome. What are you drinking? Any variation this week? But if not, just let the people know what your drink is.
I'm drinking water this week, so that is a variation.
Okay, that is a variation. We're proud of you. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, it's important to stay hydrated.
Right. All right. Our next guest, we got Joseph Jenkins. What's up, JJ?
What's going on?
Hey, JJ.
How's your week going?
Everything's going well. I am so happy for the weekend. Real talk. But, we good.
Wait, hold on. Do you have the whole weekend off for once?
No, I work, but I got to hang out with my friend on brunch on Sunday. So I'm trying to figure out where to go. Okay. It's been tight, it's been tight. And then it's breakfast. Then me and my dad are getting together because it's to celebrate his birthday because he wasn't feeling good last weekend.
Aww.
Yeah, I'm excited. Shoot, real talk. And I'm ready to get off early tomorrow and, continue the rest of my day.
All right. So what are you drinking this week?
I got my best friend. Her name is Sarak, and her last name is Watermelon.
Watermelon.
How this goes. So I sat there. No, because with you, Megan, this is the only time I'd be like, yeah, I'm about to get it with this. My girl.
No, same. This is the only time I have a drink during the week, really, anymore. So I'm having, it's in a can, but it's house wine. It's a little rosé, nothing too crazy. So.
All
right, guys, cheers. And then what are you drinking? Are you drinking something?
Yeah.
No.
I got a rye whiskey.
Nice.
Oh.
You're drinking?
The one I had last week. Yeah.
Okay, so double cheers.
Strong,
I cannot believe Jen is drinking. Is this
You
the first time you've
strong,
tried on the Sip-Off?
Jen's not a drinker.
Okay.
Girl.
All right, well, cheers.
Be careful, honey.
Me and
You're a
me and Jen
I'm not a
flip-flop.
drinker
Me and
because
Jen flip-flop for the week.
Because Gigi, in my
you
youth,
are
there needs
officially
one or more country songs written about me, about taking my clothes off. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, you know what? You're not a sip-off host if you don't have a drink. So
I know, right? I gotta do my girl host, and I will do a much better job next time, gentlemen. I swear. I do not plan on having to leave Boston again.
No worries.
It's all good.
I'm sure. We're just so thankful that you filled in for me. So, those of y'all that watch on the regular, and if you aren't on my Facebook, because I didn't announce it pretty much anywhere else, but I am going to be working for the Diamondbacks AA team here in Amarillo, and so sometimes on Thursdays I'm just not going to be here. I'm going to be doing production for the team, and it just is what it is. But luckily, Jen is able to fill in. She knows how to produce, and she's hosted plenty of shows. So we're so thankful that she was able to fill in. And it was just too important of a time in basketball season to miss the show. So
hey, Megan,
as we were talking, go ahead.
I have one request. Can I get an Amarillo hat? I would love one.
You could absolutely get an Amarillo hat. I got you.
I'll message you after this show.
I'll give him your cash app, Megan. He got to pay for it until he gives me that Hornet shirt.
I'm not. No, special.
She said there's a ransom.
Yeah, I got some next time I see you. It's a bobble.
All right, so since last week's show, we have had the Sweet 16 round, obviously the Elite 8 round. Let's start with the Sweet 16 round. Will, why don't you start us off since you got short minutes this week? Talk to us about what UConn has done up until now.
Women's, they just beat. Okay, so I can't remember Sweet 16.
I'm going to look. Hold on.
Yeah, I was about to say I can't remember.
No worries, I'll go look.
Hey Megan, I need a bouncer for you, but I'll be back on in like 15. Okay.
No problem, Jen.
Okay.
All right, so UConn played.
15,
okay. UConn played Duke in that round. They ended up winning 53-45.
Yeah, that game was a little closer than I wanted it to be, but the team played well. They persevered. What I've noticed with UConn is we've gotten in foul trouble lately. Like Nick is not. She's like our team's causing a lot of fouls, like a lot of silly fouls. Do you mind if I shift to the Elite 8? I know that game a lot.
Go ahead. No, you talk to us about it.
The Elite 8, that was a really good game. Southern California, props to them. They're a great team. Juju Watkins is the real deal. She is a great player. And she's a great player. She knows what she's doing. She's a freshman. Gino Auriemma was quoted saying, if I were Juju, I would go to the draft. But I still think Juju's like 2 years away from the draft. But I think she is going to be a great guard. She played Paige well. Watching her versus Paige was a lot of fun. And they have a lot of respect for each other. Paige has a lot of respect for Juju, gives her a lot of credit. And now we have to play Iowa, which should be a definitely very good game. I forget. Look for the matchup between Paige and Caitlin, as well as Edwards and whoever their who's the main forward for them. I forget what her name is.
For who?
Iowa.
For Iowa. Let me look here real quick.
Can't remember her name. I should have looked it up.
No, it's no problem.
And I may have to jump to the other topic. Yeah, her and versus Edwards should be a good one too. So, yeah, I expect a really good game in the Elite Eight. So that's what's going on with UConn, and yeah.
Okay, awesome. Steve, talk to us a little bit about what has been going on in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 rounds that you want to touch on.
Oh, I think overall, just quickly, I think it's been what we thought it was going to be, right? I mean, when you look maybe the first couple rounds you have a few, but especially women's tournament, mostly chalk the first couple rounds. And then you get, I mean, obviously you have like a 5 beating the 4 or stuff like that, but mostly there's more good teams now than there used to be, but there's still a bigger gap between, 1 through 5 seed and like your 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 seeds. And the Sweet 16 Elite 8 games did not disappoint. I mean, we're looking at, first of all, we have Colorado and the defending national champions LSU that Iowa just had to beat last weekend just to get to the Final Four. Now, of course, they would have to beat UConn and then, no disrespect to NC State, but most likely an undefeated South Carolina in the championship, where if you run through that gauntlet, you obviously have earned your championship. And, Iowa's done it. After getting back there, after being there last year when they weren't supposed to, definitely weren't supposed to beat South Carolina in the Final Four, but then to lose, obviously, like they did. Fast forward a year, now you get a little bit of quote-unquote revenge, but obviously it's in an Elite 8 game, not in the national championship game.
Right, yeah.
Teams. So there's not that type of stuff. And that's why I like all the Iowa players, to their credit, all said, last year is last year, this is this year, like, all that stuff. And to Will's point, and this is what the media doesn't want you to know, most of these players, obviously I'm sure there's a few that have some bad blood, but most of these players have a great respect for each other. And Angel Reese, public enemy number 1. We'll get into that later, I'm sure. But she even said, I'm friends. Like, Caitlin Clark is like, we're friends. Like on the basketball court, we're not friends, as you should be, right? And I know, JJ, you want to get it, and maybe that's your segue, and we can talk about it now because it is a very important topic, and we should talk about it. Because there's nothing wrong with being a competitor. There's nothing wrong with a little trash talk. There's nothing wrong with, any of that. And then at the end of the day, Paige and Kaylin played on Team USA together. They played AAU against each other for years. Paige mentioned that in a press conference earlier. Like, yeah, we go way back. We know each other. There's nothing but respect there. But we're competitors. And at the end of the day, once the ball's tipped, we're trying to win, because that's what they are, is they're competitors and they're trying to win. So there's nothing wrong with that. Tomorrow night, again, no disrespect to North Carolina State and South Carolina, but that Iowa UConn game cannot be soon enough. I cannot wait for that game. And I know Caitlin and Paige are going to do their thing.
Hold on one
second.
To me,
it comes down to Kate Martin and Gabby. If Kate and Gabby make the shots, Iowa will be fine.
Okay. Joseph, I'm sorry. Whenever you unmute, there's an echo on everybody else. So in between, will you mute when you're in between you're talking? I don't know. It's just something with the connection. I'm sorry, hon. I'm not trying to just keep muting you, but there's an echo whenever you're unmuted. So sorry.
Let me try again. Let me come back.
Okay, no problem. No problem. All right, so we got Tyler Ingram joining us as well. What's up, Tyler?
What's up? How are you guys doing?
Good, good. So we are talking about the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 rounds on the women's side of things. So is there anything that stuck out that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I was really impressed, and I talked to Megan earlier about it, but really impressed with Iowa. I'm really impressed with what Caitlin has done in this tournament. She drew such a tough region. They don't have Cesano like last year. They don't have Warnock like last year. The lack of rebounding, the lack of post players. So this team, this year was supposed to take a step back, and instead, I'm watching this girl, flourish. And it's not just her shooting ability. Like, everyone talks about her Steph Curry range and her being able, but they score 90-some points a game, and she assists or scores 58 of it. So she's commanding control of the game, no matter whether she's dishing the rock or she's lighting it up. So I'm really impressed with Iowa. Will, absolutely, for UConn, to roll in with such a thin lineup and for Paige to be where she is coming back from the ACL has been amazing. I think tomorrow's game is going to do crazy numbers. I think we're looking at insane ratings game. And then on the flip side of it, South Carolina. The one thing I'll say is I kind of feel bad for NC State because they kind of feel like the forgotten puppy out of the Final Four here right now, and I think a lot needs to be
I think you have to, talk about Asia James some too if we're going to talk about NC State, because she used to play for Dawn. She's been at NC State for 2 years, but she played for Dawn before that. So there is a little bit of a backstory there. And the success that she's had at North Carolina, or NC State, excuse me, and choosing your own path, because I don't think that she left Scar on bad terms. I don't think it was that, but I think doing what's best for you, because she probably wouldn't have been the starting guard had she stayed as Scar.
Yeah, and I mean, JJ knows better than anyone about NC State. I mean, I know he's a Maryland fan, but I know, the family was all big NC State last year too. So JJ could definitely speak on that more so than me, but I do feel like they're kind of the forgotten puppy out of the four, because everyone's talking about Paige and Caitlin, and then, of course, the powerhouse that is South Carolina. The only thing that kind of bothered me this week is that people are kind of and I've told Megan this, I feel like people are kind of preying on Caitlin and Paige's downfall a little bit from what I've seen. People are saying I can't wait till South Carolina wins. And it's well, to be honest, South Carolina is supposed to win. They're undefeated. They're the team to beat. They're the favorites. They're picked on more brackets than anyone else. They're supposed to win. So that's the only thing I'll say on it. They're the team to beat. I don't think anyone should. That team is deep. They hit the transfer portal and they were able to pull players. They have a bench that could start on so many different colleges. I think you look at Iowa, for example, and why I like Iowa is that they only had 2 players from the transfer portal. And I mean, Steve knows one of them probably because she's from Central Michigan and she hasn't played since, since her concussion or whatever happened at the end of the regular season. So.
Her knees hurt. You got a knee injury.
A knee injury, but regardless, she hasn't played in the tournament. So Iowa's been doing this with what they have. So I think that's what's so incredible about their journey to get to the Final Four right now.
I definitely did not expect her supporting cast there in Iowa to step up the way they did in the postseason, because during the regular season in those few games that they lost or even when Caitlin had a rough shooting night, even if they managed to get a win, their offense looked stale and lost whenever Caitlin had a bad shooting night. Whereas in the postseason, they haven't looked like that at all. I mean, very similar to USC. USC's, Juju supporting cast, they showed up in the conference tournament, and then in the postseason or in the big tournament as well, where we didn't really see that during the regular season. So, there was a lot of movement, I think, for some of these ladies that are going to continue to come back next year. We do know there were a lot of ladies that declared today, because today was the last day that you could declare. Joseph, talk to me about the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 rounds. What did you see out of those rounds that stood out to you?
Actually, I loved the tournament. I don't get a chance to watch too much because I'm often at work when these games are coming on, but of course I follow it. And to Tyler's point, my family has continued the tradition of loving the NC State Wolfpack because they post about it all the time. And so now, but it's been a great matchup. I do think it's important to note that the facts are a lot of the world was happy when Angel fell. Now a lot of that world is now equally hoping Caitlin falls. And at the end of the day, it's just basketball. It's just basketball between 2 players who just happen to have given us a great game. And they gave us a great game, which was, in my opinion, the highlight of the weekend because it was the anticipated matchup. But I will say, people are automatically thinking that Caitlin Clark and them are going to get to this title game. UConn is not a team you want to sit there and say, you know what? it's cool because Paige out here looking like Kobe Bryant right now, the way she's been balling and locking up people on the defensive end. Like, she's been doing her thing. And credit to and I will say this about NC State, because at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that they are like this, but that is South Carolina is becoming the new UConn that we had seen for so long. There are plenty of Final Four teams UConn faced that were dominant, but when they faced them, it was just, oh well, it is what it is. And it's nothing against them. It just shows how far South Carolina's ahead. However, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't win, because there's a team called Mississippi State that beat a UConn that was the dominant team out here. So NC State, you may have a chance. You have a chance, but it's going to take time, because I will say this. I do want Caitlin and them, and shout out to Juju. I don't want her to go pro, because I want her to bring USC up, build that team. You are in a great position with this team. You are smooth on the court.
They can't go pro until after three years.
Right, and that's another thing. Right? I was like, they have to be a junior or something. And it's like, the Sweet 16's been amazing. This tournament's been amazing. You can definitely make a case that Texas, got to give you guys credit, because you guys are definitely a team.
We'll talk about Texas in a second. I got to take that out. Will, before you get out of here, because I know you got another show, why don't you talk to us?
I've got time.
Okay.
I'm just waiting.
All right. Okay. Well, so personally with Texas, as y'all know, diehard Texas fan for the rest of my life, forever and ever. We went into the Sweet 16 round and played Gonzaga, and this is where a lot of people had us exiting the tournament. A lot of people, just because of that, they're the number one three-point shooting team in the nation. They looked incredibly dominant coming into the tournament. Now, they did falter in their conference tournament. I think they lost to Portland in the conference championship. And so for that right there, for me, I was like, okay, we're going to have to take this team serious, but I think we'll be okay. Turns out we were all right. We played really well, beat them by quite a bit. And then the next round came. And I knew NC State was going to be tough. This is a team that, they're a 3 seed, so they won all year long. They didn't lose many games. Just not many people were talking about them. Those of us that are not casual fans, we know what NC State is. It might be the first time that they're going to the Final Four in 26 years, but they've been to the Elite 8 and the Sweet 16 the last 2 decades, so we know who NC State is. They've had that same coach forever, so it was not a surprise. And like we talked about earlier, Asia played for Dawn, their star guard over there. And not to just talk about Asia, because their entire guard play over there at NC State just came in and dominated us, not only on the offensive side of things, but what they hit us with was a type of defense that we literally play. We played the exact same defense, and they came in and just disrupted the crap out of us. Our shots were not falling. Even though we ended up finishing the game losing by 10 points, really NC State was up 15 to 17 points the entire time. They just let us get a couple of extra points in those last few minutes, and that was really it. Hate to see us go out like that, and I'm not going to lean on this crutch of injuries, but I will say this. I don't think that game goes that way. Now, NC State may have won, but it wouldn't have gone by 15, 17 the entire game. It wouldn't have been that had we had our star guard. Rory Harmon, missing her did something to our offense that we just could not repair all season long. Like, no matter how great Madison Booker is, we saw that she made All-American first team today. Congratulations to her. But no matter how amazing she is, it's not the same type of shooting as what Rory Harmon is. Now, they did step it up on the defense. Now, Shea Holly, who was the senior, Shaylee Gonzalez, I'm sorry, she was the senior, and this was her last year. So she did declare as well. Those two together, the defense that they were playing was awesome. Like, the last 10 games that Texas played, except for the Elite 8 matchup, I would say we were probably the best defensive team in the country. But when you come against a team that can play the exact same defense that you're playing, and then they can turn around and hit you with that, super fast-paced offense, that's what we were missing. And Rory's fadeaway, we all know she's one of the best mid-range shooters out there. So not having her, I think, of course, impacted us. So we'll see what it looks like next year. Definitely got a couple of recruiting issues that we got to deal with. But, I think being a 1 seed, and I don't know that I want to call the Elite 8 an early exit, but when you're a 1 seed, it is an early exit. So, I don't know if that hurts us recruiting wise, but, I think people want to play for Vic Schaefer. So we'll see what we look like next year.
Yep.
All right, Will, you want to talk to us a little bit about the WNBA draft prospects?
Yeah. We all know the big names. I'm going to focus on my girl from UConn, Aaliyah Edwards.
Okay.
She's a forward. She is probably, I would say, her and Paige are the best 2 players on UConn right now. Personally, I think the best landing spot for her is number 6 for the Washington Mystics, and this is why. Elena
JJ's team.
I'm sorry?
JJ's team.
Yep, JJ's team. The reason why is because Elena Deladon is taking a break from basketball, and she is also a forward. Not saying she can be Elena Deladon, but I feel like if you can plug her
She's
in
being
midway
forced into early retirement. Let's at least keep it real. She's being forced into early retirement. That's what's happening.
Yes. So I would like to see Aaliyah Edwards playing with the Mystics because of the whole thing with Elena Deladon.
Right. I get that. I think that would they definitely need to fill that position. So
because they're both forwards and they both know to play. Yeah.
I could see it. I've seen several mock drafts that have Aaliyah ending up in Dallas at the
I have too.
number 5 pick. I think that is a possibility. I know we got Natasha Howard. I believe she's only under contract for another year, and to be able to get somebody like Aaliyah Edwards to follow up after Natasha, either she probably moves on. I would say that would be great.
That would be the second
You said
landing
what?
spot. I said that would be the second landing spot I would like to see her at.
Okay. All right. Steve, talk to us a little bit about the draft. What do you think how the tournament has impacted the draft so far? And is there anything in the first round that sticks out to you?
Well, yeah, we don't need to talk about the name. I'm going to take this opportunity to quickly mention one name that, unfortunately, unless you're an actual like hardcore women's college basketball fan, you might not have heard this name, and that's a travesty because she's the 3rd all-time scoring in college basketball history. Yeah. So yeah, and see this, and I get a little Mac love here because I saw Fair and Molly Davis play against each other when they were both on Buffalo and Central Michigan. And, to see them both be able to do well, obviously, Deshauna is way better individual player than Molly Davis, as much as I love Molly. But for her to do what she's did at Syracuse, and, I mean, at UConn, that was a close game for, like, 36 of the 40 minutes. Syracuse gave them all they could handle at UConn. Right. At home, which I know they talked about that they might switch. Sorry, this quick sidebar. I know they talked about maybe they might change that. I actually like it. I like the home court advantage for the higher seed in the first couple rounds. I think cool. I think it adds to the to this. To me, that's what college basketball is. It's students, it's fans, it's alumni. It's just fun. But anyway, I've seen some mocks. That it's not Alabama.
UNC fans.
give it my boy Nate Oates crap. No, I've seen a couple mocks with Connecticut Sun drafting fair, which I think would be. I think they have 8, 9. I think it's 9. And
9,
I think to me, she's a top 10 player, and I really hope that happens for her. And I really hope that more people, because this is the biggest thing that Paige, Angel, Caitlin, all that stuff does. You just hope that it helps. Now, Juju, you hope it helps everybody. Now, you might turn on the game to watch this person, but while you're turning on the game to watch this person, hey, watch this person. Hey, come early and watch this person. So hopefully that's what it will continue to do.
And I love that about Paige. Did you see what, like, she was asked that today, like, was she excited about being probably the #1 star in women's basketball next year because Caitlin's not going to be there? And she was like, man, I just hope everybody's watching everybody else, you know? Yeah. And I just thought that was really sweet of her.
Remember when I know you probably all saw it. Remember when she scored like 51? And in the post game interview, the person's like, Caitlin Clark, who? And she's like, no, none of that crap. Like,
that was Juju. Like, that was Juju.
Juju.
She was like, no, don't do that.
You know who Paige? You know who Paige?
And that's the biggest problem with. I'll say mostly it's social media, but it's probably our society in general. You do not need to crap on someone in order to make someone else look good. You know, we had the audacity, like probably the worst comment in the history of TV by someone who gets paid to talk about sports.
Talking about Paul Pierce.
If Paige Smeckers didn't get hurt, nobody would know who Caitlin Clark is, which is the funniest thing I have ever heard in my life. Now, you could say without her injuries, Paige might, because Paige is right there. Paige is that girl. But it's not like Caitlin Clark was doing nothing. She averaged 27, 7, and 6 as a freshman.
No, we all knew who she was before. Before Paige.
I think you have to discern. I think you have to discern whose opinion you kind of pay attention to over who's not, because clearly some of these are showing that it's not. Now, personally, I actually do think Paige, but I don't think that Caitlin would not be who she is because I see her very often. She is an amazing talent. Paige, to me, reminds me of Maya Moore. And the way she goes about her game, she is I remember so one thing about Paige is her shot is so smooth. Her ability to make plays, her ability to, dribble and cross up, get the drive and hit the right people. It's so smooth. Caitlin T-shirt. Caitlin is the Steph Curry of women's basketball. Caitlin is the Steph Curry of women's basketball. In college, she is all killing those threes. It is going to really transcend across the WNBA, and it could be the start of something. Because if she is able to pull it off, and if she is able to win a national title, it'll be because of her shooting. Her ability to stretch the floor beyond anyone else. I think she's shooting like 27, 28 footers now. And it's like, at the end of the day, she is an amazing talent. But I do think Paige is just the better overall player because I think her game
probably
is
more
smoother.
Rounded. I would say more rounded.
It's more. It's
not that Caitlin doesn't play defense because she gives you effort, and that's something that Caitlin gives you effort on defense. It's not that she doesn't play defense, but Paige is on the verge of being an elite defender.
Caitlin's a better off the ball defender than she is an on ball defender because she's smart and she has a high basketball IQ.
Right.
So in fact, when they switched to zone for a couple possessions, she got a couple steals because she basically is faking, faking it out like you're not going to be there. They pass it back up to the high post and she jumps in front of it, steal, gets the layup.
Caitlin likes to come off the screens. Caitlin likes to come off the screens a lot.
Right. Yeah. Caitlin's Paul George.
I honestly kind of get like a Jonquel Jones kind of vibe from Caitlin in a way. Like,
I can get it.
I think she's going to be like an assassin at scoring in the WNBA, and I think that's going to be something that is going to take her a long way. Even with like my Sky a couple of years ago when Kalia Copper kind of went on that run and she was an offensive juggernaut. Like, I kind of can see that happening for Caitlin down the road if, like, the Indiana Fever turn into contenders here in the next few years. Because I'm assuming.
Right, yeah. No, I think Indiana, sky's the limit. But I need their coach to be more dialed in this season than she was last year for Aaliyah's rookie season.
Yeah, I was going to touch on the WNBA real quick about the draft, just to add to it. I think Cameron Brink, getting exited early from Stanford in this tournament could actually play into the Sky's favor, because I think she could drop down to the Sky. I think my Chicago Sky needs someone who is defensive minded in this draft, and I think Cameron Brink would be a great fit for the Chicago Sky. So that's what I'm hoping for.
I do think that her draft stock is affected by the early exit.
I do
not
too.
only in this tournament, but also the Pac-12 championship. And if we look at it, she fouled out of 4 games, and I know they gave her Defensive Player of the Year. And I will say this: if you don't foul out of some games, you're not playing defense right. I mean, it's gonna that, in my opinion. But you have to be more strategic. You have to work on your IQ about that. And that's where there were some issues with that. So I think that she's really.
I still think Cameron Brink's going to be a good WNBA player. I think she's going to
be good.
Yeah, I think she needs to go to the right team, and she needs to be disciplined a little bit more. I think if she's
What about if not Chicago, because I know that you would want. Right. I know that you would want. Of course, you would want her in Chicago. What pick does Chicago have?
3rd, I believe.
3rd. Yeah, I could see you definitely getting her at that pick. I do think that. So at number 2 is LA, right? They could go for Angel. She had a great tournament. You know what I mean? They could go for Angel at number 2. I don't know that she jumps that high.
I don't know if Angel goes top 5, to be honest.
I see. Okay, so let me run through one of these mocks that I've seen.
Hey guys,
because the girl from Tennessee is going to be in this draft too, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten enough.
Oh.
Because that girl's going in the top 5, Megan. That girl from Tennessee.
Rakia Jackson.
Yeah, she was mocked to us going 3rd. So.
Okay. Well, I mean, you would be lucky to have her, if you don't get Cam, you would be lucky to have her, Kia. She is somebody that I don't, obviously, I'm not going to say that she didn't have a good coach, but there were some coaching issues. I do like the coach that she had. And I don't know that her record reflects letting her go. But that loss to South Carolina is a kicker right there. They had the game won, So Rakia,
oh God, the not so top 10 defense.
Yeah, I realized Camila had never scored a 3-pointer before.
God,
I don't think those young ladies
like talking about that game. That was
at the end of the day.
That's bad basketball.
To Tyler's point, I understand that 1,000%. I don't care if she ain't never shot a shot in her dang life. You do not let nobody be open, because everybody has played knockout. Everybody's played knockout before, and everybody has seen someone who has never hit a shot hit a shot. Yeah. You don't care.
And then she goes on the biggest stage of her career, and she hits her first 3-pointer.
Yeah,
and it's ice cold. There's no more clutch than you could be with.
Do you remember? Megan, do you remember when Kai's last year at NC State against UConn, her teammate hit the 3 to take it to overtime?
Oh, yes. I remember.
Anything can happen. And you leave the girl open. I mean, people know how to judge an angle. Like, okay, if I just do this.
That's what got that lady fired, was that not blocking that shot. So, okay, if we're back to the draft, do we think that Camila goes top 5?
Camila
Cardoso, South Carolina. So because LA needs a center. They got De'Erica, but De'Erica's undersized.
I think she goes top 5.
I don't think she goes number 2. I think they go for Angel, because they want that glam.
I don't think Angel goes in the top 5.
I don't know.
I'm just being honest. I just don't think so.
I don't think she does either, but I feel like for some reason she will.
I see a lot of mocks that have her going at number 6 to Minnesota. And I think that would be really rough for her, because we know what type of coach that Cheryl is. Now, if she could have hung with Brenda there at Maryland, I think that would have been the perfect training to go into the W, or at least play for Cheryl, because look, Diamond does well with Cheryl. So, and I think that's because Brenda is a very similar type of coach.
The good thing for Angel going into,
but that's the problem. I'm sorry, Tyler. I just wanted to address this one quick.
Go ahead.
But that is part of why Angel left. Brenda is tough, and I don't think Angel was really too welcoming to that when she came in. And there's a lot of she had a lot of expectation on her. She talks about it in the Pivot podcast, and you get a sense because you kind of know Brenda if you be around here. Mm-hmm. Brenda's a little Bobby Knightish, not that aggressive, but she is definitely on your behind, and she is definitely going to get at you. And I think Angel at the time it's not what she needs. I think she needs the coach that is going to be able to just, help her work through it, because she's dealing with stuff that she's not really accustomed to. And a lot of people don't realize that.
But I think Kim sold her the dream, though. I think she would be more prepared for the W had she stayed with Brenda.
I think any coach is better than Kim Milky.
I think people have to real. I think people are
age like Bill. So okay.
My bad.
To answer Alan's question, let's go around.
I hate that woman. I hate that woman. Go on.
To answer Alan's question, who thinks that Angel's ready for the W? I don't. I think she should have waited till next year, because there would be 156 roster spots instead of 144, and that was her best chance to for sure make a roster. She needs a jumper. And she needs a better coach.
So are we going in a rotation? I don't think she's ready.
Okay.
No.
Steve?
No, I mean, obviously she's going to get drafted probably somewhere in the top 10. But no, I don't think she's ready for the WNBA at all. Like you said, she needs a mid-range jumper. Though I do think she can be I think she's going to make a roster and she could be okay. But by no means is she going to be, an all-star, her rookie year and just dominate. That's not going to happen.
She already declared.
Needs to transfer. I know. I know. Cool.
Yesterday.
I know. If she didn't declare and she transferred for one more year somewhere, that'd have been awesome.
I've already made my statement on it. I don't think she's I don't think she's going to get picked in the top 5, and yeah, I don't think she should have declared, honestly, but.
Right. I think she was so sick of the circus that was LSU and Kim Mulkey that she was like, you know what, I'm out. I think that's what.
And the only thing
this feels like a grass is not.
Like her in LA. Her in LA for like the media circus and
LA or Atlanta. I do think
I feel
that she could fit in with the culture.
Yeah. Don't put her in Minnesota.
It does take a specific athlete to be successful in an LA team or a New York team or an Atlanta team. Like I do think that it takes, somebody that's ready to deal with the media like that in Atlanta just recently. Go ahead, Joseph. What's up?
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Joseph.
So, a couple things to address real quick. I think this, number one, Angel is a reserved type of young lady. I think this has taken her by surprise. I think this season has taken that team by surprise, because by default, once you win a title, you become the number one team everybody wants to play. Add into the whole, the rings, the locker room, all of the videos, everything comes into it. It's a lot that's on these girls. And knowing from what I heard from Angel about why she transferred from Maryland, this move is definitely like, all right, look, I got to go to somewhere else. And at the end of the day, for her, as long as she got her mom with her, she don't care. And I'm pretty sure her mom and them were sitting there saying, yes, go for what you want to. If this is too much, it's fine. It's okay. Now, in terms of where she goes, I don't think LA is a good move for her because she's a reserved girl. She's not a girl that's trying to be out into the spotlight. I think, unfortunately, the media has made her antics on the game and the court as part of what she's a spotlight person, but have to realize that's just on the court. That is not the person that is off the court. So at the end of the day, a lot of people are judging her off the court for what she does on the court. And I think people have to really understand something. This girl grew up in one of the roughest parts of Baltimore. If you make death threats to her, she takes that very seriously. She's not playing with that stuff because she had to fight through her life every single day at St. Francis. Across the street, there are drugs and slinging out and stuff like this. This girl's a girl playing basketball and a man's sport. And trust and believe, she has been through stuff that she ain't seen, but she's just like, yo, the death threats are not cool because I've had people do that probably in my life before. So I think people need to be more sympathetic and more empathetic to that, because at the end of the day, I've never wanted nobody threatened. It's never been that serious. We're talking about ending a life.
Right.
Are you thinking this is something that you're going to sit there and say, oh, well, you've become a...
Oh, my God. You remember last year when DeMar's daughter was yelling in the stands at the playoff game and they were threatening that little girl? Like,
it's a game. It is a game. Yeah, it's a game that we love. It's a game that we cherish, a game that we're passionate about. But it's a freaking game. Are you getting paid off that? Are you losing your house off that? No, you're not. So at the end of the day, nothing she's doing is wrong. It is trash talk. Have you never played a game before? Oh, you guys are the parents, like, now be nice now. Don't be mean to the person. It's okay. No, it's trash talk. She and Caitlin have been playing against each other since they were like teenagers. They know each other.
Yeah, they have. Did you see them hug after the game? Like, they respect each other. And definitely last year when they tried to blast Angel for the ring comment, Caitlin was like, I don't know what the hell y'all are talking about. We all talk trash.
One last thing, so I respect that Megan, so much. You know this is true. You know this thing is true. Everybody in the world hates Angel, but the one person that hates Angel for loves her. It makes no sense. How do you hate the girl when Caitlin does not have anything against her? She loves Angel.
They don't like the package that the trash talk is coming out of. That's what it boils down. They don't think women should be doing trash talk, because we've talked about this before. Like whenever Serena's banging her racket on the court, they go in on her and talk about she's classless. Oh, but when Grayson Allen is over there talking shit, we glorify it, right? You know, so I don't know.
Like, and I mean, Caitlin could have, like, when Angel fouled out that game, Caitlin could have like waved goodbye to her.
And not to say that Caitlin hasn't, because do you remember last year during the tournament when she told HVL you're losing by 17 points, and that's when she did this? Remember that Caitlin did that, you know? So Caitlin, she does.
She did it to her strength coach, correct?
No, she did it to HVL.
No, Angel was doing it.
Oh, Angel, excuse me, my bad. But Caitlin made that comment to HCL.
That's why Caitlin didn't see it during the game. It's like it wasn't directed really at her. And again, and the same thing with Haley and Caitlin. They also know each other and are friends and talk trash and do all that stuff.
Didn't Haley?
You're now like 17 points at your mouth. You know, that type of thing.
Haley touched on this in an interview.
Part of sports.
Hold on one second, guys. I'm not sure who this is commenting, but if you are commenting in one of the groups that we're going live to, sometimes it doesn't show your name. But if you'll go to my page and comment, it should.
Yeah. Haley and Caitlin had a whole conversation about that. Haley touched on that in an interview even.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to run through this.
But Haley was getting cooked in that last game anyway.
She was. No, she was. I'm going to run through this mock draft from ESPN real quick and just kind of give an overview of what ESPN is thinking is going to happen. And then next week we'll talk our versions of our mock draft. So, of course, at number 1, they got CC going to Indiana. At number 2, they got Cam going to LA. At number 3, they got Rakia going to Chicago. At number 4, they have Camila going to LA. I do think that Camila has definitely moved up in her draft stock. At number 5, they got Aaliyah Edwards going to Dallas. At number 6, they got J.C. Sheldon from Ohio State going to the Washington Mystics. I don't care what the Washington Mystics do; they will be public in me number 1 this year, because they are the reason we are not seeing Elena Deladon play. So for me, they are public enemy number 1. And number 7, they got Angel going to Minnesota. And number 8. They have Isabel Borlassi from Australia. She's a 5'11" point guard. At number 9, they got Alyssa going to Dallas. I would love for that to happen. Alyssa next to Arike or coming off the bench and filling in for Enrique, that's solid right there. And number 10, Daisha Fair going to Connecticut. I think this is going to be insane if that happens. Her next to Alyssa Thomas, Brianna Jones, if she's ready. And then, DeWanna Bonner. You know, they got the veteran over there who even
DeWanna Bonner.
15, she was killing it. So we all figured DeWanna was eventually going to hit the wall. Well, it wasn't last season, and I don't think it's going to be this season going forward either. At number 11, they got Charisma Osborne from UCLA. And then at number 12, they have Nadia Pouch, I think is how you say it, and that is a power forward from Australia as well. So it looks like her draft stock has fallen some because they had her in the top 6 about a week ago. And then this tournament, we've seen some other players move in. I think Camila moved in up and knocked Nadia out some. So this is ESPN's mock draft. But let's go through real quick and let's talk who we think is going to be our champions. Let's stick with the ladies, and then we will end with the men. So what do y'all think is going to happen in the Final Four? And then talk to me about your champions. So we'll start us off.
I'm going to sound biased here. I've got UConn winning by 4 against Iowa. And I've got USC winning by 10 plus against NC State. And I think this is the year, because Paige Beckers is on a revenge tour, UConn wins the national championship.
Wow.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be upset if
ahead.
USC does. I wouldn't be upset if USC or Iowa wins the national championship either. Because USC is so good, and Iowa's a feel-good story. As for the men, NC State's made a really good run. They had an amazing conference tournament. They beat Chapel Hill. They beat Duke. But this is where the story ends. Look for the matchup between the two big men, Zach Edey versus whatever his name is. I forgot what his last name is. And I got Purdue winning that game. And then I've got who's the other one? UConn versus
Bama.
I think Bama beat my Tar Heels, so I won't forgive them for that. So I've got UConn, Purdue, and I think Edey is a great player. There's a reason he's up for National Player of the Year, but I think UConn's just too strong.
Okay, Steve.
I mean, I guess I'll stick with what I picked before the tournament started, which would be Iowa over South Carolina in the championship. I might as well stick with it. So I'm going to stick with it, even though I think, again, no offense to North Carolina State, though, because South Carolina, some of their tournament games have been closer than
they have.
I mean,
that game with Indiana was a 4-point
game, and Indiana's a good team. But obviously, live in a Big Ten country, I've seen Indiana a lot. But yeah, but I still think South Carolina is going to win tomorrow in the first game, in the JV game tomorrow, and then in the varsity game tomorrow with Iowa and UConn. Which, I mean, if you get almost 12.5 million viewers on a Monday night, I can't imagine what a Friday night, prime time is going to be. I mean, it does start a little bit late on the East Coast, but again, it's a Friday night, so we can stay up late. So I'm looking forward to what those numbers are going to be. But most importantly, I'm just looking forward to a great game. By no means do I think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a absolute war, just a dogfight. I think it might be one of those games where nobody has a lead over 6 points until maybe some free throws at the end, and it becomes like a 78-69 final or something like that. But really, it's like a 4 to 6 point game, all the way through. But yeah, I'll stick with Iowa for now. And then the finals, even though South Carolina will definitely be ready for that game, obviously, and Don will definitely have them ready. I think Caitlin really did come back to finish the story, and I think it's kind of have to finish the story, and might as well go with it. Obviously, I mean, I won't be shocked if UConn beats them tomorrow night. Obviously, I won't be shocked if South Carolina wins at all. There's 4 great teams, and I agree with Kyle with Tyler's point. Is I think we're talking about 3 of the 4 teams. We're not really talking about NC State, where NC State's women are not their men. Again, no offense to their men, but their men weren't even going to be in the tournament at March 12th.
Right, yeah, they're an 11
right?
seed. There's a huge difference between 11 and a 3 seed. We know who NC State women are. We know.
Yeah. NC State already beat UConn this year. Sorry to bring that up, Will.
Right, yeah.
Their women are legit, but I do think South Carolina is the better team. In the men's side, I did pick UConn to win the men's tournament before the season, or before the tournament started, I assume, when the bracket came out.
Right.
And I might as well stick with that, even though the team that I had them beating is out, but we won't have to talk about that. But and just because I need them to lose, I'm going to have NC State keeping that run going for one more shining moment and beating Purdue, and then UConn then beating NC State in the finals by like 18. But I think Connecticut's best is, in my opinion, Connecticut's best is definitely better than anybody else's best. Now, obviously, in a 1-game tournament, you never know if that's what's going to happen. But to me, I think they have the right experience of youth and experience, plus coaching, the right formula. And it's hard to go back-to-back. It hasn't happened since Joe Kim Noah's Florida team, I believe. So it's been a while since that's happened. So,
yeah, it has.
Yeah. So, but I think it's going to happen this year, and at least Connecticut gets one national championship for Will.
All right, Tyler, talk to me about the Final Fours and what do you think is going to happen?
All right, you guys got a few minutes? I'm going to unpack a little bit here.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so start with the women. I was wrong on my predictions. I did have South Carolina winning it all. I thought Ohio State was going to put up a lot more of an effort, so them getting beat by Duke kind of messed things up for me a little bit. I thought Ohio State was actually going to be the one to send UConn home, but I was wrong, and I can admit when I'm wrong, so Ohio State disappointed. But I have South Carolina playing Iowa in the championship. I am with Steve. I am a Caitlin Clark fan, so I am rooting for Caitlin for this tournament. But that being said, I think South Carolina is the best team. I think they're the best coached team. I think they're the deeper team. I think they've been undefeated all season. Yes, they've had some scares in this tournament, but when push comes to shove in the championship game, give me Dawn Staley. I just think South Carolina is the best team. I think they're going to win it. For the men, just to give a little clarity on this, if NC State doesn't make that 3-pointer to send the game to overtime against Virginia in the semifinals, the world doesn't know who DJ Burns is.
Right, yeah.
This transfer from Winthrop, who is must-see television, who is so fun to watch. You know, this is like watching Zach Randolph play college basketball right now. So I love watching DJ Burns. I think it's incredible what he's doing. Megan, am I allowed to cuss on here? I don't.
No, I don't care.
But I will say
we still say the N-word. Thank you.
I never have said that in my life, nor I ever would.
It's probably not directed towards you, but it has come up on the show before. So
okay. Yeah, I will. That word's not in my vocabulary. But anyways, if you saw the ending when Zach Edey was celebrating with Purdue, when he said that he has a boner right now, man, I couldn't stop laughing. That was the most random thing I've ever heard.
That's like when Dom said that about Kevin Love. Remember that shit?
Yeah, the man boner thing. But when Zach Edey said it, and I know a couple weeks ago we talked about it before this tournament started, and I told Steve, I said, hey, it is kind of weird with Purdue because they're in this position that Virginia was. Virginia got beat by UMBC, a 16 seed, got completely embarrassed, came back, won the national championship. Now Purdue's been put in that situation, lose to Fairleigh Dickinson last year. They went on this run all the way to the Final Four. And I said, I will not pick Purdue. I just won't pick them. But it wouldn't, things happen like this. When you get super embarrassed, you put your best foot forward the next year, and you want to right that wrong. So I am going to actually – but here's the thing. I am not ready for the DJ Burns thing to stop. I want DJ Burns to be in the championship. I think UConn's going to win the national championship, But give me DJ Burns in the championship. I want UConn and NC State. So I'm going with Iowa, South Carolina over Iowa, UConn over NC State, and 2 great championship games.
I love that. All right, Joseph, talk to me about what do you think is going to happen in the Final Fours and then your championships.
And then I want to hear
right. So I'll start with the UConn and Iowa game. I actually think UConn's going to pull it off because I think we have 2 of the girls that are the same kind of player who can match point for point. But if I look at the teams around them, I'm going, and the coach included, I think Gino and them are going to pull it off. I think that her supporting cast on Iowa is great. They definitely have come to age in terms of coming to the tournament. But then I always have to dig a little deeper. And I think about how the coaches are and how they get their teams prepared, how they get their teams ready for things that's going on. UConn has had Paige not be available or injured at this point. So knowing how UConn, listened to Rebecca Lobo many years ago talk about Gino and how he gets his team ready and prepared, and knowing I think UConn's supporting cast is better than Iowa. I love Caitlin Clark, but I'm taking UConn, and I think Paige and them are going to get back to the NCAA championship to face Dawn Staley, where you face the former versus the latter. And I think that you face the one guy that was revered as the most dominant coach in NCAA history, and now you're facing the team that he sees, the coach and the culture that he sees as the most dominant culture that is forming. And I think in the end, Dawn's going to get it because I think Dawn and her girls, everyone is going on. And the one thing I know about Dawn that I said in the chat a couple days ago, she got Tahina Pow from Oregon, and that is a 3-point shooter that she needed for her squad because what reason why she lost to Caitlin and them is they couldn't match their shooting. So at the end of the day, having Tahina Pow and being able to stretch the floor that way, I think Dawn and her team is going to complete and have a perfect season and continue to solidify themselves as a dynasty. On the men's side, I'm riding NC State to the title game, number 1, because at the end of the day, momentum is serious. And momentum is the type of thing that can take you from not being in the tournament, which is where they were, to getting all the way and possibly winning. And in NCAA men's history, UConn wasn't supposed to be in it with Kimber Walker and them won. They were supposed to be gone. But they won their tournament 5 straight games and playing for their playoff lives. And now they're into the NCAA tournament playing for their playoff lives. And if there's one number 1 seed that I would expect to give up a bad game, it's this Purdue Boilermakers. Number 1, size is not going to be Edie's biggest advantage against DJ Burns. He has the same size. So number 1, that's not going to be what has been the thing to make you get and dominate teams in the paint. It's not going to be the biggest thing. Now it relies on the other guys. And I think right now, NC State is gritty. NC State is tough. NC State is physical. And I think they're going to get to the title game. And they remind me of a Tom Izzo Michigan State squad that got to the title game that lost to and got blew out by the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yes,
on the men's side. Right, exactly. Tar Heel teams, when Tar Heel teams win national championships, they have a tendency to be the flat out best team in the game at that joint, bar none. And that was at that point. But in terms of the men's side, I got UConn. I really do think UConn because number 1, and I remember watching a UConn game, I think against Seton Hall or someone, Dan Hurley's first year. And how when Dan Hurley got there, he didn't try to make anybody leave. He really wanted the guys and to let them know the ones, hey, I know I'm a new coach, but if you want to stay, we'll make it work. If you want to go, you go ahead and go. And they stayed. And ever since then, it's been skyrocketing. And ever since, Dan Hurley is a player's coach. Dan Hurley is a player's coach. And I think they're going to get there because they are strong. They are so strong right now. And in the end, I will give it to UConn to win it all in the men's side because I think that they are, bar none, the best team. It's always been all season long, UConn and a little bit everybody else. And they haven't disappointed in this tournament. They have had some moments where they've been vulnerable or something, but they have definitely been the team that's been in control of everything.
Yeah, they've also blown out really good basketball teams in this tournament.
Exactly.
Illinois is a good team, and they blew the doors off of them. So
Exactly.
I kind of view the results because I'm probably going to go the similar results as everybody else, but I view the women's and the men's very, very similar because UConn was just a level above everybody else all season long, whereas South Carolina was just a level above everybody else. Going into the tournament, something that I talked about all the time was, there's South Carolina, and then the 2 through 20 seed, it was anybody's go. And because they were just that close in records and caliber of teams, they were all very close. I think the UConn-Iowa game, I'm going to lean towards UConn because they are a team
that's the toss-up for us between us all.
Yeah, they are conditioned to run with only 6 or 7 girls. They've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years. They've been injured. Some of these same girls are used to playing with only 6 other girls or 5 other girls. They're used to it. Aaliyah Edwards, they didn't make the tournament last year if they didn't have Aaliyah Edwards. Now they got Nika Newell, they got KK. What they have as far as their supporting cast besides Paige, because I do kind of think, similar to what JJ said, is CC and Paige kind of equal each other out as far as scoring. But the supporting cast, I think UConn's is better. We didn't even think that I would be here because her supporting cast was not what it was last year. That team, the team that Iowa had last year was a very, very good team. Crazy to me that Monica Cesano is not on a WNBA roster because I felt like she was good enough to be anywhere. Unfortunately, she just had to go play for that.
Yeah, she had 700 rebounds in her college career. That's crazy.
Right. Unfortunately, she got drafted by that tiny, tiny man that is Kurt Miller. Anyway, so obviously my feelings are that. But as the same that is on the men's side, UConn and them, the Iowa UConn ladies, they have a train of South Carolina coming at them. The same way, no matter who wins on the men's side of things, they got that train of UConn coming at them. And I don't know that Iowa or UConn is prepared for a team that plays defense like South Carolina. Yeah. Of course, they are known for higher-powered offense, and UConn plays defense. It's not that they don't, but the defense that is South Carolina, and then they can double back, and they have just as good of an offense as you do. It's different. It's more spread out. It's more. There's not just one person shining. You're going to have four people that are 15 plus. That's what South Carolina is, and then every single person on their bench would be starting somewhere else if they were playing for a different coach. They know their role. And how many times did San Antonio win championships because their bench was almost as good as their starters? They won 5 championships. So I feel like almost every single time the reason was because their bench was so good. So for me, I'm also going UConn.
Or if we look at the Dallas Mavericks team that beat the Heat the first year, I mean, deep team, JJ Barea was insane in that.
I think after the way
I think that's the difference maker between whoever plays South Carolina, which I do think it'll be UConn, but whoever plays South Carolina, I just don't think they're prepared of the caliber of that. And one little shout out before we go. Hold on, Joseph. The last thing that I personally want to say is just that when you look at the differences between programs, I think that you have to look at what Dawn has done. 3 coaches of the year back to back. She doesn't get on press conferences. She doesn't get on social media and complain about the portal or not being able to coach her players anymore because they have too much power, supposedly. What she does is she goes and she recruits well. She has returning players. She loves her players. And then most importantly, the last press conference that I saw her do after their last game, she talked about her players in a way of adoration that we don't see that in a lot of programs. And I think that's absolutely what's missing. LSU, for an example, Kim does not talk about her players with the adoration in the same way that Dawn talks about her players. And so you can be a winner without being a shit human being. And I just love that about Dawn. I think she's amazing. You see, earlier this week we saw
so
Asia
true.
and Chelsea.
I hate Kim Mulkey. I hate
Kim Mulkey, man.
I'm with
you. We saw Asia Wilson and Chelsea Gray pop up on Dawn during practice. And, Chelsea didn't play for Dawn during college. She played for Team USA, and she still just was very loving. Dawn was super loving and had a lot of adoration for Cameron Brink as well during the award ceremony. So, I just, you don't have to be a terrible human being in order to win. And prime example, Dawn Staley. I love what she's done. This group that she has is completely different than any group that she's ever coached before, and that's what she talked about, that she had to let them play freely and kind of cut back on some of her coaching, because when they play freely, they're happy, they're having a good time, it's a game, and there's no stopping them when they're like that. So that was what was different about this group of athletes that she has this year. And I love that she doesn't complain about the fucking portal. The portal means we get free agency during college. Y'all get the fuck over it. All right, Joseph.
All right.
Y'all know I'm a husband.
I don't know how I'm going to bring that up, but at the end of the day, like you saw a clip where Dawn surprised Camilla with her mother and her sister.
Right.
Because of all the commitments she had gave to South Carolina to make them look good. And Dawn was like, you did that for us. We have to do this for you. And at the end of the day, that's just who she is. I mean, say what you want to say, and I've said it for a long time. This woman is building a dynasty. And this woman is building a powerhouse that is rivaling the UConns out here because she just has it. And players want to play for her. Players want to come to her. Players want to be with her. I will say, if there's Iowa reminds me of.
Oh my God, we got news, breaking news. I'm sorry. Georgia Amore just announced that she's transferring to Kentucky with Kenny Brooks.
Oh, look at that. Time out.
That is interesting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was kind of big.
No, you're good. Now, like with Caitlin Clark on defense is a little Paul Georgie, but not as athletic in the sense of she's smart. She knows she gets deflections. She gets those steals that she needs that you least expected. She's good off of help side defense, but she's, like you said, on ball. With the right kind of crossover, you can get her. I'll be honest with you. You can get her with the right kind of crossover. But her offense is so dynamic. And I'm excited, to see what's going to happen. I just think Paige is Paige.
I mean, they can't rebound. Iowa's issue is they can't rebound, and they have to make shots if they want to win this whole thing. I mean, that's just point blank.
Can you imagine not being able to rebound against a team like South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big issue. They have to make a lot of shots.
Like Tyler said, you have to hit shots. They beat South Carolina because they hit shots.
They got to hit shots.
If you want to beat South Carolina, Caitlin's going to have to drop 40 or 50. She's going to have to. Because there's no way that I'm going to sit here and
But I'm not ruling it out, Steve. I'm not ruling it out. She is amazing.
No, I agree. You're right. But it's going to require that performance because Caitlin, South Carolina's girls, all their starting five is going to bring it. Yeah. She's going to have to get.
It's not just their starting five; it's the other five.
It's everybody on that team, man.
It's everybody on that damn team. Like Fuwadi is a freshman and coming off the bench.
And best believe another thing.
So good.
I want this to happen because I want to see what her game plan is for Caitlin Clark. I want to see how they're going to play her because realize they're going to be like, all right, last year you got us. This year, we might have to trap you as soon as you get across half court and see what you're going to do about that. Maybe run a 3-quarter press. Who knows? But they both got to get past their opponent.
So I got to hop off, but there's one point I wanted to bring up that we didn't discuss today, and that was real quick. We were talking about the transfer portal. We were talking about the transfer portal real quick, and I think the transfer portal is actually going to start hurting mid-majors, and that's because everyone that's transferring now. Like me and Steve talked about it before this about like the men's tournament and how it's great because these mid-majors come out of nowhere. Now we're kind of seeing like the 4th or the 5th best team in a conference, a big major conference, kind of turn into the underdogs or mid-majors, kind of like NC State, you know? Like we were talking about, if they didn't make that 3-pointer in that semifinal against Virginia, we don't know who DJ Burns is. We don't know. NC State's going on this run, and now they're in the Final Four. I don't know if we're going to start seeing St. Peter's, you know, making runs anymore in the tournament. I think now the runs are going to start turning into like Texas A&M's and NC State's and maybe like an Indiana or something like that. Those 4th or 5th teams. 2. Seton Hall should have been in this tournament. This team beat UConn. They won the NIT. They beat UConn this year. That was a shame on the committee. They should have put Seton Hall in that tournament this year. I mean, they had every right.
You could thank NC State for that, because if NC State didn't win the ACC tournament, Seton Hall would have been in.
We are going to end the show, but before we go, I just want to give a cheers to none only than Kim Mulkey, because UT's coming to the SEC, bitch. I hope we give her hell every time we match up against her. That is the show. F. Kim Mulkey. We'll see you next year, bitch. We're back.